works right. Or not. Yeah. It'll be much better. Spaceship connections get kinda funny sometimes, it seems. Yeah, there's different aliens and different topics I'm gonna cover. Definitely. See how this goes. Okay. Yeah, it's still kind of cutting up a little bit, but now there's no data. Okay. Alright, so there's been a lot of alien sightings going on in the country. And I think that I need the other area, and I might try the StreamYard thing by itself. See how that goes. But yeah, let's try another screen. And my mouse. No. Alright, there we go. Yeah, so my mouse is acting a little bit silly. But I still want to monitor what's going on with this YouTube page. This video is about me testing a connection. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Looks like it's better. I'm going to try to fix it some more. See if that helps. Move the computer a little bit. See if that helps. Alright. Let's scroll the page a little bit, see how this goes. And yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely something that people aren't aware enough about, and especially with the trees and the stuff that's going on in this country. I know there are many distractions that are going on, but I do definitely think that certainly this is an important topic too. Okay, the connection looks like it's getting better. Alright, so basically over here they're saying the Jupiter and Venus had an alignment. And I think that's pretty cool. I like the planets and stuff. I like to talk about the 9th planet, which is really the 10th planet actually. And also, that's another thing that they hid from us about the government. I mean, about the planet, rather. Yeah. It looks like the connection's working. That's all I'm pretty much doing here. It looks like the connection's good. It's good, healthy connection. Alright. So basically, we had all these different sightings, and I will probably make another stream of this exact thing in the future, when I know the connection's better. This is just a test, so you'll probably see this content again. And so we have reports that in the mountains in Utah, Wyoming, and Nevada, there are a lot of UFO sightings that have been taking place, and I'm sure it's causing a lot of people panic and anxiety. Now, this was earlier in the month, but it's fairly new. So if you all have anything interesting, to say, like, about that, like, if you all have any alien sightings, just let me know in the comments or in the chat if you all come around. Alright, connection's working better. It's working better. And another factor I think is interesting is the effects that this has on people. That these aliens have caused a lot of creativeness, creative expressions in movies and literature and whatnot. I remember when I was young, I saw the War of the Worlds, and I thought it was quite frightening. And I like it now as I'm older. And I can imagine what this effect this has on people. And I will talk about a lot of the same topics from the other stream, because until it gets absolutely correct, I'm going to keep doing this. And look, the connection is working well. So in this test stream, the connection is working well. So let's try this now. Now we have a silly mouse. Let's put up the calls. My mouse is having some issues, so I don't know how well, I don't know how quickly I'll get to the phone, but the calls are open if anybody would like to come in and chat. I'm just looking at the screen. Alright. Okay. So, I'll just wait here and see if we have any new people come through. Been live for about 8 minutes so far. I know it's kind of late at night. I was putting the cats up to bed and turning their heaters off, and I took my stroll at night. And I put up my new American flag. I'm glad I got that done. Alright. So far there's no activity. I'll keep it up here for a little bit, and I'll go to one of the other screens and see what you all got to say. Because I was talking earlier about how silver is good, in my opinion, and it's good to also have gold and whatnot, and there is one person there. Alright, let's see if people call in. Yeah, so as I said, this is a test stream to test the connection, because earlier we had a problem with the connection. And I'll go into some other topics in a moment. Okay. And I talk about aliens and farming and various topics, and also mental health and relationships and different things like that. I think that those are very important topics.
You turn the heaters off, huh?
Alright, that was just a little blooper for a second. So I was talking about the aliens right here. There's all these different sightings that took place. I was talking about before in the different states. We'll get into Roswell, because that was something that one of my mods brought up. And yes, in July 1994, they made some documents they put out about the Air Force, and as I said, I will repeat some of this content in other streams that I do. But so basically, it had to do with a UFO crash that occurred, and they found alien bodies in it, and they say it was just some government experiment with some fake bodies, but I don't really believe that. So that's basically what it was. The Roswell crash was, they crashed, the aliens crashed, and they extracted technology and their bodies and different things. And see what's going on here, how the connection. Yeah, connection is still having some problems. Alright. Alright. I'm typing something in the chat for everybody. But I have another area I will go into that will definitely be better than this. And let's see, I'll show the video from earlier that I did. My mouse is a little bit silly right now. Okay. You all tell me what you think about this. In my opinion, I think this is real, but you all could tell me what you think. Yeah. Well. Alright, so that's basically a crash that happened in Russia. So they're speaking Cyrillic. And basically, so I think it's real. You know, one of you told me earlier that you think it's frozen. Like this mouse wants to be frozen. Alright. So, what do you know, is that a real alien? Or is it some kind of something fake? You know, I think it's real, personally. And I said this before, that yeah, the connection's just going back and forth. It's very windy right now. Also, I will open up the calls again, which the calls are always open. I'm just going to display it on the screen again. Check the connection. Yeah, so see what you all got to say. Alright. Have you ever seen an alien sighting? I would like to know. I would certainly would like to know. And you people could call in about anything, really. We could talk about it. It's nice to vent off, talk about whatever you gotta talk about. Yeah, calls are open, and there's more topics that will be covered, and I definitely will do this. I'm going to have a schedule for this, and I'll be in a different room at some point. Will be a better connection, but it looks like the connection's working again. Put that in the chat. I know I go live kind of late. I moved the computer a little bit, hopefully that works better. And earlier I was talking about the farming, with how China is buying up all the farmland, and they have a lot of farmland, and about the politicians and what they're doing, and how in Congress, in the House rather, they're testifying them with different representatives and people. That's another thing on this channel I like to talk about is farming. And do you do farming? Do you like doing things like that? Let me know, call in. And also, if y'all want to come and StreamYard, we could do that too. Alright, so looks like the connection's better because I moved the computer in a different position. So it looks like that did the trick. And I'll cover some other topics that you all will find interesting. Let's see. No, I'm just... Alright. Testing different screens. Go search the World Wide Web. Wow, look, this is from a movie probably, but you see, a lot of these UFOs are spherical, like that. And their orbs are very creepy. If you ever encounter one, it's like you could feel the vibe from miles around. It's a very disturbing feeling those things give off, and I think they're the fallen angels, or at least they're working with the fallen angels. There's debate about what they are, and some people think that they're pretty cool and they're not hurting us, but I believe that they're, at least these don't have our best intentions in mind. And this is one the Pentagon caught. See how it's a spherical object. And another topic, let's see, this is probably fake. Oh no, that looks kind of real. Let's see how it loads. Yeah, could be real. Maybe it isn't. See, those things are interesting. One time I saw it was like a drone or something, and it was like this blue thing that just rose up in the sky, and then it went back. It disappeared or it went back down. It was crazy. Yeah. And you're like, I could talk about food, cooking, about whatever's bothering you or anything. Just feel free to come through. Alright, so now the mouse is still being silly. Silly mouse. Tricks are for kids. Yeah, and I will touch briefly on the Roswell crash but I do want some of you to... Oh, Latina's here. Alright, so... Mouse is being silly. Alright, so... Yeah, so basically that's, going on with the aliens. And remember, Latina, you told me about your friend in the army had a problem with she had some encounters with the aliens you told me about. And I think that is interesting. I'm glad you told me about that. Thank you for telling me about that. And also, now I'm going back to the other window. Alright. Yeah, so I wonder which ones are real and which ones aren't. Because I know there's a lot of fake ones out there, and there's been a lot of sightings all over the United States recently and in the past. See that one? That one could be real, and a lot of these things could be planets and things. I know a lot of people can Photoshop stuff. I got that. Right, in the Roswell crash, as I was saying earlier, it was a situation where the government was covering up a crash that occurred. Remember, Latina, you told me about how, and other ones have told me that the military is working with them some kind of a way, and this kind of brings confirmation to that. Right, exactly, Latina. I don't think she's crazy. I've had weird dreams about them, and my friend that got me into the alien stuff, which I was already into it too, we both had strange dreams of them, and I think they're very demonic. About their comment. Yeah, so basically, and that's why I like to expose this, bring this to the light. And one of my other subscribers, her screen name is Georgia Peach. She was telling me about, she knows a lot of people in the army. She was telling me about how they were, that the military has seen them, the UFOs and stuff. And I don't really think they have our best interest at heart. But that's up for debate, and I think there's many wolves in sheep's clothing. And now I'm going to fix my mouse for a moment. Alright, so I'm going to turn the mouse off for a second. Turn it back on because it's lagging too much. Alright, now I'm going to turn the mouse back on. Bear with me a moment. This thing has a glitch in it where the mouse will glitch a little bit. Let's see, bring it back. Alright, the mouse is back. Now, you all could call in if you want to talk. Alright, you all could call in if you want to the show. If you wanted to. Alright, it's there. And I'm glad that you came, Latina. Thank you. And anybody else who wants to come through, that's good. And yeah, I'm just going to be... I just was reviewing about the aliens in Roswell and the different things like that. And talk about whatever. Yes, Latina. Yes. That does make sense. I'm going to read your comment one more time. Because I want to fully grasp that. Right. William Hopper says that it's a government. Yes. The psychedelic drugs. I know about that. So, my friend, he was telling me about how the psychedelics will bring your mind into this other realm. And it'll distort your brain and ruin you. And this is one of the ways the demons, aliens, which I think they're the same thing, can access your mind. And I think that has to do with it too. I know the government did a lot of experiments. And apparently, Charles Manson was maybe experimented on with psychedelics. You know how, he was a murderer. So yeah, I think that what you're saying makes sense. Makes sense. I think all that stuff is connected. Yeah, because that's when the cultural Marxism, as we've talked about on Trey's channel, he goes into depth about it. That in the 60s, this is when the cultural Marxism was able to take root. And this is all linked to the aliens and these different stuff, because the false gods appeared to people a certain way as gods and goddesses, and now they're appearing as the aliens, and maybe there are bad extraterrestrials that are working with the fallen angels, or they're both. So yes, that's a good point. Latina, you always provide very good information. And let's see. Yes. Yes. So the stream might lag a little bit, but so basically the connection's going well. Yes, Latina, I understand. I've had dreams about them. I remember I was over there in that other room, and I was walking through, and this tall one kind of was a white. The white ones, it's like the grays, but they're taller, and it had these eyes, and it screeched, and it was really creepy. And my friend had a dream he saw them on a TV screen looking at him, and it's very creepy. So yes, Latina. Yes, I understand, and that's one of the ways they access people. And I didn't do drugs or anything either, but now, remember, sometimes I would take, when I would get a cold or something, I would take cold medicine, and that was a little bit, I would have weird dreams with that and feel weird with that, but that has some kind of psychedelic thing in it, and that's why I stayed away from it. It's best to stick with citrus if you get a cold. But yeah, that's basically it. But the drugs will cause you to lose yourself, like your conscience and like your free will. That's basically it rewires the brain, and the science says that people could have relapses with the psychedelics, not like the cold medicine, but like with the LSD and stuff. Because a lot of the stuff is associated with aliens, the psychedelic trips. I see. And like, hopefully the connection stays good. Alright, so yes, I understand. I've had that too. Now, I have not seen them personally, thank God, but it's just a real creepy situation when they come through. Right. Uh-huh. Exactly, Latina. Exactly. Exactly. From another dimension. Remember, one of the Christian apologists I listened to, he was saying about how they're interdimensional beings, and that they come from another dimension into ours. And this is like the fallen angels. They were and the fallen sons of God. I made a video about this, and you've seen it before, when they were given dominion over the earth. And that's basically it. And that's the demonic element, yes. Yes, that's true. You're right. And a lot of people are lost. And also, I think ghosts are also the same thing. And that's a very good point you have there. And since you're here, I don't know if you saw it earlier, but I'm going to go to the other screen, and I'll show you this video that I just played recently. Let's see. Go wrong screen. Let's see. Yeah, YouTube. Alright. Let's take a moment. Okay. And see what you think of this one. Robots. That's a movie. It's nice. I don't know if you saw this one when I played this, but I'm going to play it again. I think it's real. It's freaky to see in the snow. Yep. Alright, so that's something I was playing earlier. That's something that I was playing earlier. And, let's see. Fixing. Let's see. Hopefully this is working. Alright. So that's basically the alien thing. I wonder how what they use to be able to do this stuff. Because there is other incidences of the dead aliens, like the Roswell crash. And it's interesting how that works. Yes. Yes. That's interesting, Latina. Yes. Yes. Similar to mine. Yes. And also with the nightmares, yes, they occur in the same place. And they do that. Yes, I understand. And you're understood. They suck the energy out of you. They're very demonic entities, they'll drain life forces out of you. And that's what they're trying to do. But God is with you and will protect you from those things. And, the connection is going in and out. But I believe it'll keep working. We have some strange connection issues. Maybe the aliens are messing with the connection. Wouldn't be surprised if they were. And also, I think the demons... I remember I would have dreams of these people. And, I knew that they weren't people. And I'm like, who are you? What are you doing here? And the person would tell me, they know they're not supposed to be there. They're to mess with me. And I would rebuke it in the name of Jesus. And they would go away eventually. So, I definitely understand your point. I would have vivid dreaming. I'll be I would move around and different things. And they appear as aliens or ghosts or whatever. And I've had things fly off the table and whatnot. I understand what you're, what you're saying. And I wonder how they do this with the aliens. If there are the demons, they're able to do this. They're able to masquerade as something dead in the snow, and I guess they vanish or something. I know when I was a kid in school, in the museum, it was a book. And I saw there's aliens on the table, and it was definitely real. It had to be real. Like this thing in the picture, it's some kind of real entity. And let's see, I'll get into some other stuff too, with UFOs. Now another thing, and I think that also the planets, they're hiding about information about the 10th planet. Now you see that. Now I'll see if this loads, because the aliens like to mix with the connection. All right. Let's see. Well, not Planet 10, Planet 9. They like to downplay things. This is a planet that they're hiding. This has to do with the aliens and different things like that. With my ads I was running, I was able to bring a lot of awareness to the things we talk about, Latina. A lot of the stuff with the ads. Alright, so this is a planet that's outside the solar system that can come through and cause disturbances. Now I'm going to check the chat. Alright. And thank you for your patience, Latina. Thanks. I'm glad that you're staying around, Latina. I know the connection's not perfect, but I'm glad that you're staying around. I really appreciate it. Alright, there are unsolved mysteries, episodes of the stories. Oh wow. Oh wow, that's interesting, Latina, about this man you speak of. That there is these unsolved mysteries, episodes of the stories, and it had integrity of this is a pet. Of a pal. Oh, a pal. Silly me. Wow, that's interesting that they saw this in the field. Yeah, because you see, a lot of these UFO sightings that we see, you know, a lot of them are, these spherical little UFO things. It's crazy. I totally think it's wild, and it's definitely there. Always gives great information. It's very frightening that, it shows how real these things are. And also, I do have the StreamYard thing, if anybody want to come and join it, or the call-ins, because I added both mechanisms to this. Exactly. The US government says they don't want people to know about it. Alright, they don't want people to know about it. Exactly. I'm going to write you something. So I'm going to take a break from talking for a second. Right, they always lie. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying, Latina. Uh-huh. Exactly. That's exactly how it's described. That's exactly how they're described. These strange spherical objects that come here. And remember, like Sam was saying, like they'll come from another planet. They'll appear that there's something from another planet, but they really aren't. And in my theory, my friend and I came up with that he believed in, and I believed in, but the fallen angel thing makes sense too. That these aliens are some kind of they're working with the demons. It's some fallen race of human, not human, but some other thing, and they joined forces with them. But I think they're likely just the fallen angels or some other, the sons of God, which is these other creations that God made that fell away and took us over. All right. Oh, Latina. I wonder. I must. Yeah, try to send it in the chat, and if it doesn't work, I'll have to figure out what kind of settings I need to do to allow the links to come through. Alright, now, looks like it's working better. Alright, now I'll put up another window. Gray alien. Come on, dude. Okay, Latina, I'll stay around for you to come back. I'll just be chilling here. I'll just be chilling here. Oh God. Okay. Yeah. So hello everyone that's recently here. I'm just talking about the aliens, and Latina and I are talking about the different stuff, different aliens and things, and she'll be back to get it. It may take her a couple of minutes. But yeah, so basically, this is a gray alien, and they're very, creepy little creatures. And it's best to stay away from them. And also, I definitely, this looks funny. This looks funny. This dude's like, what have you done to my spaceship? It's like, what have you done to my spaceship? Yeah, it's like, and then he's about to get beamed up by his companions. It's funny. But I remember this. It's like you're in the woods chilling with your boys, just like camping and stuff, and you see these fellas come through. It's like, what? Alright, let's see what the new comment says. Oh, okay, thank you, Latina. I got the link. Alright, I'm gonna play this. Alright. So, I'm gonna open this up. Go to, right here actually. Paste. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Movie time. Alright, so here we go. Play the audio. Okay. Alright. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to switch the screens for a second. Thank you. Latina. Alright. So... Okay, now... Alright, now, Latina. So, which part is this, you think? Alright, oh. Alright, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying now. Do you know of a... Wait. Do you know of a timestamp when this is going on? Oh. Ah. Silly. Come on, computer. Alright, here we go. Well, hold on a second. I hope I didn't do... Where'd the chat go? Where did the chat go? Okay, Latina, thank you. I don't mind playing the thing. Alright. So, and as I said, anybody could call in. Anybody can call in, and we could just chill. It's all good. It's all good. Alright. So, I look funny when I'm typing. I'm so silly. I got. Alright. Yeah. Alright. So, I'm back. And, yeah, so. Oh, thanks, Latina. Thank you. All right, Latina. Let's. All right. All right. Let's do this. So 1930, like right when Hitler came to power in Germany. All right. 30, 19. All right, Latina. Here we go. I'm about to do it. Oh. Okay, Latina. Okay. Alright. Thanks for telling me about the audio. Alright. See if I can see what's going on here. Let's put the chat in this other area. Toggle participations. So I've done this before. I got it to work. I'm just fixing the chat screen. Alright, pop out. Pop out. Put this over here. Okay. Okay, Latina. Okay. Alright, I'm going to do a test. See if you hear it. Alright, Latina. Alright, Latina. Alright. Good point. Good point. Good point. Good point. Alright. Alright, I fixed it. I fixed that part. Alright. Alright, let's see if I could do this. Alright, I could do this. Let's see. Now, while we wait for that, we're going to switch to Windows to that. Alright. Okay. Alright, so looking up about it. Alright, so let's see. Oh, well. Yeah, because I thought I was sharing the audio because I did it before. It should be catching it. Because I have something on here. I want to see if this works. Let's see. And the mouse is being silly. Mouse is being silly. Alright, so now what I have to do is I have to reset the mouse again. So the mouse is resetting because it was being a little bit silly for a second. Then I'll come back and see what I was going to say. Alright, mouse is back. So I'm just going to test this again, see if this is working. Because before it was working. I think it was working on something I was doing. Alright. test something here. Oops. Alright. 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 Hold on a second. Hold on a second. My bad. My bad. My bad. Change this to another window for a second. Alright. I forgot I had the wrong thing, the wrong display up. And if it doesn't work, I think there's this, my computer's a little bit different. So I do have something where it should capture the audio. Alright. Because I have something that should capture the audio, but there's a certain software for my particular computer, and I would have to restart the computer. So I'll show that one another time when I can get that fixed. I think it should work. But it was kind of funny, I had the wrong screen up, so let's see. Let's see. Alright, that's better. I'll tell you here. Because I did this before, but as I said, so I like what you showed me. Very good. Good information. And I'll make sure, I'll definitely, because I think this thing I have here should work, but I might need an extra one. Alright. So, I'm glad that you brought this to my attention. Yeah, because there's certain, certain inputs. Let's see. Oh, I think I know what to do. I had the wrong thing selected. Now, alright. Alright, so leave it there.
July 2nd, 1947. A violent electrical storm sweeps over the desolate plain of south-central New Mexico. At this time of year, these storms are almost nightly occurrences. At his remote ranch house, Mac Brazel patiently waits out the fury of the storm.
Mac was he was just an old-time cowboy, I guess you'd say. And he was pretty serious. If he told you something, you could pretty well depend on it.
Apparently, Mac Brazel heard a thunderclap that night that somehow sounded different.
The story is that Mac Brazel supposedly heard a loud crash at some point during the storm and didn't know if it was related to the storm or not. According to his son, Mac was on the range the next day looking to see which fields may have gotten precipitation the night before so they could move the livestock to those fields because the grass would be better there. And in his process of looking to see where the rain had come down, he found the debris field spread out near his ranch house.
So, because there's this other software that... Okay, good. Thank God.
It was obvious that something had crashed in one of his pastures the night before.
I might have switched something around.
Whatever it was broken up beyond identification.
It was approximately 3/4 of a mile long, maybe as much as 200 or 300 feet in width. Scattered along there were bits and pieces of material. We refuse to call it metal because from the descriptions we have, it was more of a plastic-like material, very strong, very lightweight. The pieces of it were described as being 3 or 4 feet long, but as light as a feather, as thin as newsprint. There were metal beams that were slightly flexible but very strong, and it was spread out all over the field.
Some of the metal pieces appeared to have strange qualities and unusual tensile properties. Later that day, Mac drove over to his closest neighbors, Floyd and Loretta Proctor, who lived 10 miles away.
Afternoon, Floyd. Loretta.
Hi, Mac. What brings you all the way out here?
For Mac, he was excited. You know, he was wanting somebody to go down and check it out. And we should have went, but we didn't.
Take a look at that. Light a match to it, you'll see what I'm talking about.
And he brought a little sliver of wood-looking stuff, and him and my husband tried to cut it and burn it, but it wouldn't whittle and it wouldn't burn.
Well, I'll admit that's pretty damn odd.
Now, I would say it looked like plastic, but back then, why, you know, we didn't have plastic, and I guess it was more like some kind of a lightweight wood.
YouTube is the #1 site for millions of creators online. But as more people flood to the platform, it's getting harder for your content to stand out from the crowd. That's where Sprizzy can help. Meet Tim, the lead singer of
The Proctors urged Brazel to go to the authorities. The following Monday, Brazel reported his discovery to the sheriff, who informed nearby Roswell Army Air Base. That afternoon, Mac Brazel led 2 Army intelligence officers to the crash site. One of the officers was Major Jesse Marcel Sr., an experienced combat pilot whose primary duty in peacetime was to investigate air accidents.
Why don't you just stay there, Mr. Brazel? Lieutenant?
Even with his experience, Marcel was unable to identify what kind of craft it was. Marcel died in 1982, but before his death, he gave the following interview for a documentary film about UFOs.
There were just fragments strewn all over the area, an area about 3/4 of a mile long and several hundred feet wide. So we proceeded to pick up the parts. He says, I tried to bend this stuff. He says, it will not bend. I even tried to burn that. It would not burn. See, that stuff weighs nothing. It's not any thicker than tinfoil in the back of cigarettes. He says, we even tried making a dent in it with a 16-pound sledgehammer. Still no dent in it. One thing I was certain of, being familiar with all our activities, that it was not a weather balloon, nor an aircraft, nor a missile. It was something else, of which we didn't know what it was.
Late on the night of July 7th, Major Marcel drove back to Roswell, his car loaded down with the unusual remains found on the ranch. Before going on to the base, he stopped by his home. He wanted to show his family what he had found.
When he came back to the house, he had a bunch of wreckage with him at the time, and he brought the wreckage into the house, actually wakened my mother and myself out so we could view this because it's so unusual. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning, as I recall, right? And he spread it out so we could get some basic idea of what it looked like, what it was.
Jesse Marcel Jr. was 11 years old at the time and remembers the incident vividly.
Where'd you find all this stuff?
He is one of the few people still alive known to have handled pieces of the debris.
No, son, I don't know what this stuff is.
We're amazed by this debris that was there. Primarily because we didn't know what it was, you know, just the unknown.
Look at this writing. What do you think that is?
The most remarkable fragment was a short piece of I-beam, which was covered with strange symbols and embossed markings.
Looks like some kind of hieroglyphics.
This writing could be described as like hieroglyphics, Egyptian-type hieroglyphics, but not really. The symbols that were in the I-beams were more of a geometric-type configuration in various designs. It had a violet-purple type color, and it was actually an embossed part of the metal itself. Years after this incident happened, we would talk privately among ourselves about what the possibilities of this, what this thing was. And I feel that I know that we came to the conclusion it was not of earthly origin. If I had not actually held pieces of it in my hand, I would not think that it would be possible. But because I happened to see this, that's the only reason I believe it.
Major Marcel took the wreckage to the Roswell base where he was stationed. Roswell was home to the 509th Bomb Squadron, the Air Force's sole atomic bomb group at the time. It was a closed base, and personnel stationed there required a high security clearance. The following morning, it is believed that some of the pieces were flown to Wright Field near Dayton, Ohio, with a short stop at Carswell Air Base at Fort Worth, Texas. That same morning, Colonel William Blanchard, the commanding officer, made a crucial decision. He went public with the story of the discovery made by Mac Brazel.
PIO's office, Lieutenant Hart speaking.
Hot, this is Colonel Blanchard.
Colonel Blanchard. Yes, sir. What can I do for you, sir?
Hot.
Second Lieutenant Walter Haupt was a public information officer for the 509th at the time.
Flying disc?
You heard me, Lieutenant.
Yes,
Colonel
sir.
Blanchard ordered him to issue a press release telling the country how the Army had found a flying saucer.
I never questioned it.
Yes, sir.
In 1947, when a colonel told a first lieutenant to do something, the first lieutenant did that. I'm sure that had I asked Colonel Blanchard to see it, he would have said no, and that would have been the end of the subject. There's a little bit of difference. You didn't have any democracy back in 1947 in the military establishment.
The press release read in part,
The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday, when the intelligence office of the 509th Bomb Squadron was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc through the cooperation of a local rancher.
I took the releases into town, and that was one of the things that Colonel Blanchard told me to do, take it into town, because if there's any validity to this, he didn't want the news media to feel that we had jumped over their heads and were not cooperating with them.
That same day, it was reported that an engineer for the Soil Conservation Service made another remarkable discovery. Barney Barnett of Socorro, New Mexico, died in 1969, but he may have been the person who discovered what was perhaps the first positive proof that there was other life in our universe.
Barney was just a real straightforward, just what you would call a real straight guy. He wouldn't tell you one story out of color or nothing. That's why I was really surprised when he related this information to me about crashed saucer. He told me that he come onto this spaceship. It was during the daytime. It was an oval shape, similar to what had been identified, you know, in different sightings and so on. And it had crashed and it had broken open. There was beings laying, about 4 beings laying on the ground, not in the spaceship, laying on the ground. He did describe that the heads were larger than the bodies by proportion.
So, as I was going to do, I wanted to see what was going on. And also, and I'll get to that in a moment, Latina. Yes, in a moment. Yes, in a moment. All right.
And they had some type of clothing on that looked a little bit different, not exactly like our space suits or that sort of thing. But the 4 were laying on the ground. And they were scattered not too far from the object.
Barney told Vern that he reached the crash site about the same time as a group of archaeology students who had seen the wreckage from their nearby dig. The military had also apparently discovered the second crash site after an aerial search, but they arrived too late to secure the...
All right, so this was going on for a little while. So basically, in the video, in the country, there's this crash sighting that occurred. And I let the video play for quite a few minutes, so you all could see what's going on. And basically, there is a crash, and the people try to burn it, they try to hit it, and people couldn't really see what was going on. You know, people didn't know what it was, and it seemed virtually indestructible, and it definitely wasn't an air balloon or a weather balloon, like they like to say. And the Army and everybody's trying to cover it up, and they're investigating it right now. So that's what's been happening the past few minutes. And I will keep the video playing, and I'll comment in a little bit.
Area.
Sergeant, get those people out of there and in front of this Jeep now.
Barney Barnett and the students had a clear and detailed look at the craft and its occupants.
When the Army showed up, they immediately escorted these people from the scene. And then at that time, they give them a warning not to relate any information to anybody. From that time on, Barney never mentioned it to anybody until the time that he told me about the thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my duty to inform you.
All efforts to track down the members of the archaeology dig had been unsuccessful.
This is a restricted area. And from this
Been told secondhand, many believe there is just too much supporting circumstantial evidence to completely dismiss it.
We have archaeologists, and earlier they mentioned in the video about how there is geometric things that were on the materials, and I studied about that in school, about the geometry stuff. It's very intricate. It wasn't just invented by, nothing or Joe Blow. It was very intricate. And the archaeologists and everybody is seeing that the sighting, this is a strange phenomenon, or phenomena, whatever it's called, that's going on. Alright, now we'll continue.
When he first told me, I was sort of flabbergasted. I didn't know what to say, but I believed it because of his integrity. I'd stake my life on his reliability. He would never concoct any story. That's why I believe it to be true.
On July 8, 1947, newspapers across America published accounts that a UFO had supposedly crashed in New Mexico. That same day, according to some investigators, a cargo plane carrying the debris from the crash site arrived at an air base in Fort Worth, Texas. At almost the same moment, the Army received the news of a second crash site where alien bodies may have been found.
All right, this is what I was talking about earlier to some of my other companions in the other stream. So basically this is the Roswell thing. I'm glad that you showed me this, Latina. Thank you. And they mentioned that, and that basically that the alien bodies and whatnot, they found them. Unlike what they've, they tell the government says this and people say that, and it goes back and forth. But we know what's really going on here, and it's good that this information is being brought out. All right.
Brigadier General Roger Ramey was the ranking commander of the 8th Army Air Force at Fort Worth. Within hours, Ramey's office issued a new press release stating that the material recovered in New Mexico was not a UFO, but in reality, the wreckage of a U.S. Army weather balloon.
Dad said obviously it was a cover-up story. It was not a weather balloon. He was a little disturbed about that, but he had his own intelligence classifications, security classifications to protect. He could not really go public with, hey, this is not the real thing. I mean, this is not a weather balloon. So he had to keep that to himself.
But the UFO incident was still very much alive for Mac Brazel. At the time, rumors surfaced that Brazel was held at the Roswell base until after the new cover story had been circulated and generally accepted. In Roswell, Floyd Proctor and a friend saw Brazel, but he appeared to be unwilling or unable to acknowledge his friend.
Floyd and a neighbor was in Roswell and saw Mac surrounded by some of the Air Force people. And they walked.
You see, this is what I was talking about. Like, the government trying to censor people that were talking about the alien sightings. They just, and then they say it's not an alien sighting, like with Nibiru and Planet 9, 10. It's really Planet 10. They just say it's not real, it's real, and then they go hide things. It's just, they are so shady, and this is very interesting. All right.
Right by them, and Mac wouldn't speak to them. They, kind of thought it was kind of funny. I guess really wondered what he'd got into. And Mac, he wouldn't talk about it after he'd come back home. But he did say that if he ever found something else, he wouldn't report it.
By the time Brazel returned to his ranch, all traces of the Roswell incident had apparently been removed from the area and taken to Wright Field in Dayton, Ohio.
Everything went to Wright Field. That's where the Air Technical Intelligence Center was. That was where they could make the studies. Subsequent to that, we think that the material has been sent elsewhere. We think one of the bodies has gone to Langley, CIA headquarters. We think another has gone to MacDill, which is an Air Force base in Florida, where they have an aerospace medicine facility. We don't know where other stuff has gone. We think some of it is still left at Wright Field.
Yeah, so it's like there's no alien bodies, because I was saying earlier, Latina, that they said that there is no bodies, and then they're just dummies. Now they're saying they're bringing them to them facilities and doing this and that, and there's stuff in the field. And I made a video about this recently, that a lot of our technology may come from these things, from this event, this very event. And they don't make up their minds because they just they can't make up what gender they are. Some people just can't make up their minds. Yeah. So we'll continue with the video.
I think the reasons for the initial cover-up are pretty straightforward when you stop to think about it. Remember, this is 2 years after the worst war the planet had ever seen. You didn't think in terms of nice guys here to say hello kind of thing. They didn't know how to deal with them. What could you tell the public? It would have been totally irresponsible to say, by the way, we thought you'd like to know that there are alien visitors to planet Earth, that we can't do a darn thing to prevent them from flying over the country. We don't know what they want or where they're from, but we thought you'd like to know. For this group of people at that time to do that would have been totally irresponsible.
Now there's an ad. Well,
this game,
about the pause the ad actually.
You're not ready for it.
So basically, this is the point my friend told me when I was young, that they would not be honest about Planet 10 or these things because they were concerned about a worldwide panic that would occur. And, you know, it's just crazy about, you know, so basically the government lies to try to help people feel better. And now we'll get back to video.
In spite of the circumstantial evidence, there was no real proof to dispute the Army's contention that the wreckage was in fact a weather balloon. Then, more than 30 years later, UFO researchers obtained a document which many contend proves the Roswell incident actually occurred. In 1984, this top-secret document, known as the MJ-12 memo, was mailed anonymously to a UFO researcher.
Operation Majestic 12, or MJ-12 as it's called, was a group of 12 people apparently established by the president to deal with the wreckage from Roswell and the whole problem that that created. How did these things work? Where did they come from? How can we get more information? How can we analyze the wreckage and the bodies and so forth? And how do we interact with the rest of society having that knowledge?
The contents of the report stunned researchers. In part, it read,
On 07 July 1947, a secret operation was begun to assure the recovery of the wreckage. Aerial reconnaissance discovered that 4 small human-like beings had apparently ejected from the craft, about 2 miles east of the wreckage site.
Yeah, so you could definitely see how they're recording these things and they found these things dead. And, you know, it just basically shows the government hiding and disguising things. Yeah, so there's different ways you call in, or you could do the stream guard thing if you want. I have both mechanisms. Right, so you know, we clearly see here with these silly little aliens. I mean, with these silly people, hiding stuff and whatnot. It's crazy. Now we'll continue with the video.
All 4 were dead. Civilian and military witnesses in the area were debriefed, and news reporters were given the effective cover story that the object had been a misguided weather balloon.
The government has consistently refused to comment on the MJ-12 memo, and there is still no proof of its origin. But if we are to believe the MJ-12 document and the other accounts, then we must ask ourselves a fantastic question. Did our government, in 1947, really discover evidence that there is life in the universe outside our own atmosphere? Apart from Barney Barnett, there is only one man who has ever admitted to having seen these aliens.
My husband, Oliver Henderson, otherwise known as Pappy in the Air Force, he was entrusted with many of this country's top secrets, and they were safe with him. He never told anything that he wasn't supposed to. And therefore, it was 34 years after this incident happened that I heard about it.
Captain Pappy Henderson was the man who piloted the plane that took the first pieces of wreckage out of Roswell. In 1981, 2 years before he died, he told his wife that in spite of military denials, the Roswell incident really happened.
My husband told me the bodies were small, smaller than human bodies. The heads were larger and the eyes were rather sunken and a little slanted. Clothing was of material unlike anything he'd seen before. They were strange. They were not of this earth. When my husband, who was a man of truth, who was trusted with 29 different Army aircraft planes, first pilot, aircraft commander, tells me this story, I believed him.
If this happened, it's the most significant event of the 20th century and probably the millennium. It would be akin to Columbus discovering the New World and Queen Isabella deciding not to tell the rest of the world about the discovery of the New World.
More than 40 years have passed since that hot summer night when a violent thunderstorm swept over the Brazel Ranch. The military declared that the remnants found in that remote field came from a downed weather balloon. But the people who actually saw and held the wreckage disagree. Perhaps it was an experimental aircraft that the military wanted to keep top secret at all costs. But perhaps, just perhaps, it was something else.
Alright. So we basically can see how these, government people hid this information from everybody, and they caused this giant fabrication, and they go back and forth. I remember the Russian mafia guy on YouTube was saying you could, when a liar, you could tell they are a liar when they keep changing their story. And the government keeps changing the story over and over and over again. Definitely interesting. And, right, that was nice information. Thank you, Latina, so much for that. Come on. And I definitely will do that again in the future. I'll play it in the future, and I won't be talking while it's going on. I got a little bit sidetracked for a second. And let's see. Yeah, Roswell was talking about that. Let's see. So, other displays. Yeah, so, yeah, this is basically what was going on at Roswell. I was talking about that earlier. These are some of the articles from it. And I think it was real. As you could tell, their technology is far more superior than ours. Gray aliens. Yes. Yes. And you're welcome, Latina. You're welcome. And also, with the lizard aliens. Because I designed this thing where I would have the both mechanisms, where people could call into the show, and people can do the StreamYard thing too. Like there could be, in Snowman, the Angry Snowman, at some point he's going to come by, and maybe not this one, but another one. And then it's like you'd have these people on the StreamYard one, and then different callers and people. That's an interesting thing, to do. And also, it's funny. Very funny. And I'm thankful for all you that came around here. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I was just talking about this earlier. In this report, they were saying how it's fake, the Roswell thing. But we see, looking more in depth about it, that it's real. You know, and very interesting video. And also I will say this. In general, you can see the mental health effects of these things, how people got traumatized by these situations that they went through, and how it causes more distress to people. And, you know, basically, that's another way you could tell it's real. Let's see. Let's see. Sorry. Did something right here. Let's see if this works. I don't see anybody coming in here yet. So basically, as I was saying, the lizard aliens are another thing. That's another thing. But yeah, so the government's just lying about this stuff. And yeah, you know, I like talking about all kinds of stuff on here. You know, relationships, or people they have anxiety. You know, they could talk about that if they want. You know, like people, for instance, you know, it's best to live in the present, not in the future or in the past, but live right now. You know, that's something, you know, important to do. And also with mistakes, it's best not to treat them as crimes. And those are just some, you know, things. And people could call in or whatever, talk about various different topics. And I'll put the number up. Let's see. It's the main view, you know, people, they could come in, and that could be a panel. And also have this separate window, so people can, so if there is a guest that came through, you know, they could talk in there. Alright, so here we go. We have some cool stuff going on here. Right. And, you know, share it. It's good, you know, like it. Really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you to everybody that, you know, came here tonight, you know, and my buddies from Trey Uncut. I'm glad that you all came through on my stream. I've been meaning to join you all, just that, you know, I had to find a place to do it. I decided to do it here. I got my equipment and things, and a lot of the stuff's inside the computer. You know, all this stuff that I do is in the computer. There's no outside force. You know, there's just my microphone. There's my camera. The same, you know, I used to do YouTube when I was very young, as a kid, and I used the Login Tech, the same headphone. It's the same channel, but I transformed it and changed it around a little bit. Check some different things on here. Let's see. Windows minimized. All right. All right. See, now I know, in my time, it's like 3 in the morning. Well, it's actually 4 in the morning. Now it looks like the connection is working better now, because, you know, I went live earlier. I'll tell you. Yeah, I went live earlier and it glitched. You know, but I had quite a few people come. Just like this time, around the same amount of people. And, you know, soon I probably will shut it down, but let's see. My garden's been doing well. My garden's been doing very well. Alright, let's see what's going on here. "805. Who am I speaking to?"
Hi, it's Latina. Latina.
Oh, hello, Latina. I'm glad you called in. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes.
I really love that video. I really appreciate Unsolved Mysteries videos. They did really good work in doing how what are they called when they reenact it? Reenactment?
Oh, the actors? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, when they do like a reenactment, when they portray a
Oh,
past
yeah,
incident.
yeah, the reenactments, like they do with the Civil War and whatnot.
Yeah. I was really hoping Alice would come up on the panel though, because she's way more interesting. And she actually has a real tin foil hat that she wears.
Oh. Oh, that's cool. You know, I remember my friend was telling me, he thought
Yeah,
that,
she made it.
yes, the tinfoil hats, he said that it helps block the radiation or something. That's where the origins of that come from. And yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I would like to see that at some point.
So basically we should put Faraday hats on. Faraday cage hats on our heads.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad.
We should probably wear Faraday cage suits when we go outside near cell phone towers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you know, with the especially around my house, there's a big tower over there. One of my relatives used to own an ice house in the 50s over there, and now it's there's a tower over there. Yeah, and that makes sense. And yeah, I'm real thankful that you sent me that. Very good information.
What kind of house did you say that your relative used to own?
Oh, it was an ice house. So what that is like they used to.
What's that?
Okay, so an ice house, back in the old days, they didn't do stuff like they do now. So you would have these big warehouses where ice would be made. Have you heard of that before?
So like a, I don't know, like, is there videos you can show us? Does it matter what it is? I don't
Okay.
know what it is.
Okay, so yeah, the ice house basically, it's where they would make ice. And I think I'm calling it the right thing. And basically what happens is, you know, my family, one of his relatives, they had a business with it. Like they would just simply sell ice to people, and they would put it in a box. And that, before they had refrigerators, they used that to cool off their food and stuff. And it's over a little ways from me, and it doesn't exist anymore. But in that area, that's where one of the towers are. Let's see if I'm saying this right.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
well, I know that that they would be able to like keep things refrigerated by using like blocks of ice, but they would like layer it in like layers of hay and stuff.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yes. They must have just nicknamed it the Ice House. Hit these. I'm trying to come up with different things. Yes, okay, I think I got something, what I'm talking about, and I'm gonna go on Google. Well, I'm on Google, but the thing's loading. So, alright, so getting the window up, and this is kind of an idea. I'm gonna put it in the screen in a moment of what they were doing. Alright, so other displays. Alright, so it'll come on the screen soon. So basically, this was like an ice factory they used to have back in the 50s, and basically they would ship those big blocks of ice around, and people would put that in their refrigerators and their boxes to cool off their stuff, like as a refrigerator back in the day.
Cool. Okay.
Right.
So what part of the video for Unsolved Mysteries did you think was like the most interesting besides the hieroglyphics? Oh yeah, I think that was one of the most interesting parts was the hieroglyphics. On
Oh yeah.
what it was similar to hieroglyphics written on like the metal.
Oh yeah. I mean, basically, the most interesting part for me besides the hieroglyphics is the fact that they found the bodies there, and that there's talk about that, because that is to me, pure proof and evidence that the thing is, it's real, it's there. And I want to add that the materials are virtually indestructible.
Yeah. They tried benching it and all kinds of stuff.
Right. And and you notice how they go into a rural country area. They don't seem to like they go in the city much. The aliens, like what I mean, like these crashes, and I could be wrong.
Oh yeah,
You could correct me.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because my friend told me out in the woods, that's where they go. They like those areas, and I guess maybe they don't want to be seen, and they just attack those different areas.
Or
yeah.
that's where they're.
Go on.
Or that's where they land and have secret hideouts at.
Right.
Or like I've heard that they come in and out of like bodies of water.
I heard of that. Yeah.
That there's like another portal, like either they're hiding under the water in the earth, or it helps them to travel through like a different portal dimension.
Yeah.
By going through the water, like the water acts like a what would you say? Like the water acts as
like a gateway.
Yeah, a gateway.
Yeah. So that makes perfect sense, Latina. That's a good point. So basically, they.
Oh, hey, Alice is trying to get on your StreamYard. She's in the back chat.
Okay, let's see. Let's see if I could bring her up. All right, I have to go to the right window. All right. So I'm going here. See which one it is. It's one of these.
And I actually have to get off this call so I don't wake up anybody here. Okay.
All right. I'm glad
I'll be in the chat.
All right. I'm glad
I'll be in the
thank
chat
you
with you guys for a little bit.
All right. I appreciate you calling in. All right.
Thanks.
Goodbye. All right. 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 All right.
I am prepared to get on the spaceship.
All right. Nice to have you on.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man.
That's good.
So you're going over the stuff you're in the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Like that thing you played is old, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That what was it, MJ12?
I think so.
Yeah, the recording. Isn't that Unsolved Mysteries?
Yes, Latina sent it to me.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
They admitted the UFOs were real, but are aliens?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So basically, I believe in it because my friend and I was really young. I was in like third grade, and I was into the alien stuff, and he was into it, and we would see it on the History Channel, and a lot of people thought he was, crazy and silly, but, as I got older and went on YouTube, there's more people that do agree with that there is other aliens out there.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's things that happen in the sky we can't explain.
Oh, right,
It's
right.
amazing about the weather balloons, right? That
Hmm.
big one that just flew across America,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they tried to say, what was it? I think it was 2020. I mean, everything started to. I don't know if you remember, but people were going to storm Area 51,
Oh,
right?
I remember. So a couple of years back, there was this situation where they were a group of people from the internet were gonna go raid Area 51, and they made memes about it on the internet with like these soldiers from like Avengers going into battle, and when it really happened was all these like people came by the gate and just kind of took pictures.
Yeah, they said there was a creature there. Like they had a I seen a video. It was a thing that ran across the street. It
Mhm.
had like long legs, arms. It was like awkward looking, but it was fast.
Mhm.
And you're like, what the hell was that?
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't even know if they ever stormed it. See, you know how talked about it, they promoted it, and
Mhm.
then I had this conclusion that them trying to storm Area 51 is what caused the pandemic. Okay, because it just lined up. I was like, all of a sudden, y'all were talking about Area 51,
Mhm.
and then this happened, and I'm like, did y'all let something escape?
Mhm. Mhm.
Right?
Right. Yes. Yes. I agree. Because I remember that a lot of these things that they pull, like liars are also great magicians. That's what I've noticed with these things. Like, have you heard of Planet 10?
Yeah.
Okay, Nibiru.
Well, if you want to talk about it so other people know what you're talking about, it's interesting.
All right, so the in our solar system, way out in the outskirts of it, there is this other planet, this big red planet, that can orbit our planet and come really close and cause some problems. And then the science and the government, everybody says it doesn't happen, it's not true. And then there's a certain point that they can't hide it anymore, and they say, you know what, maybe it's true. And here's a picture of it. So,
That's amazing.
right, and he told me about that when he was young. My friend told me about that. And I took him seriously, and I wanted to hear what he had to say, because there's too many movies I saw when it was like, the guy that was crazy was actually correct.
Yeah. See, they don't ever want to admit to anything. That's the hardest thing for them to ever do. Is like admit about something. You ever heard of Planet X?
Well, that's the same thing I'm talking about.
Okay, so Planet X and Planet 10, depending on which one you look at,
Hmm.
like whoever's telling the story,
Okay.
because that's they say it's supposed to collide with this or something,
Yes,
right?
so that's what I was talking about. So basically, it has an odd orbit, and its planets beyond objects rather beyond Neptune. So this thing would either collide with Earth or it would pass by Earth and cause some problems, and like an eclipse, and people think maybe it's responsible for some of the strange weather and maybe some strange things that go on, and then they'll blame it on global warming or this and that, and it could raise tides and stuff. And from where it is, it causes a lot of, from where it is, it can cause a big impact with its magnetic pull. So that's Planet X, Planet 10, but they say it's Planet 9, actually. They kind of come up with something silly, so it's not Planet 10 because they don't want to admit they're wrong. It's Planet 9, like with I think it was Jimmy Kimmel or something that were saying about it's like the conservatives are maybe right about the China thing, but it's not quite what they thought. Like, they can't admit that they were wrong.
Yeah, because if they admit they were wrong, then they're in with the virus. If they admit they're wrong, and we have the data, that means they helped create it, right?
Correct.
And that's a big thing because then that means that America's liable. And then that's why they've been like so reluctant because Fauci. Yeah, 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 the evil elf, Dr. Fraud.
Mhm. Right.
Man, I'm so glad he's not in there anymore. But I mean, he should be in prison. I don't know
Yeah.
what they're waiting on.
There's so much
Like,
treason
why
going
don't they
on.
put these people? Why? How do these people get away with everything, man? And not go to jail.
Well, there's a combination of things. That's a good question. So, with the media, they're very good at brainwashing the people and making them think a certain way. And if the sheeple are mindlessly in their chains, they're not going to rebel. So there's no one to rebel against them. There will be a handful of people like us that are not following the mob, but it's because they're able to use the media as a big tool, and the people don't rise up against it.
Yeah, because they've dumbed them down.
Exactly.
Have you noticed that a lot of people, like with the critical thinking on it, right? Um,
Mhm.
it's like the way we get information now is sporadic and it's hard to like at times because it's so much information. I think we have overload of information, and due to that, people don't have time to like. They have to slow it down, right?
Mhm.
Slow it down, and then that by the time you slow it down and you're getting into actually breaking it down, here comes something else. It's just always bing, bing, bing. It's like
Mhm.
notification, 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 and it's like I think that's part of the brainwashing is when you overload someone they can't think straight.
Right, right. You see, you basically it's like being in a matrix where people are just they're stuck in a certain type of like in a matrix pretty much, and these little like social media, there's little dings and things, and it causes these little dopamine hits over and over,
Yeah,
and yeah.
yeah, that's what they were saying that's what a lot of the women are. They're like it's not just women, but like the way it affects women is a little bit different than men because it's an emotional thing with women. Like if
Yes.
you hit it's like it boosts your ego. It's like if we were in a game
Mhm.
and you got level ups and stuff like that, it'd be like level up, right?
Mhm.
And it just gives this conflated thing, and they just get man, it's hard to explain. But the dopamine, they knew that when they created these things, the like button, the comments, they knew that when they put the dislike, it was going to affect them negatively
Exactly.
because you don't want to be liked. I don't know if you remember, but it was Facebook.
Mhm.
They changed to upload your what is it? Upload your status or something like that.
Mhm.
And then it went from what is on your mind. And I remember the first time I seen that,
Mhm.
I was like, if I tell you what's on my mind, I'm gonna get in trouble. This feels like a sin, right? That was my post. I was like, do you really want to know what's on my mind?
Right. Right.
Right. It was like a rude awakening. You know how you got those little moments and you're like, hold
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
You want me to tell on myself.
Right.
That's when I realized there's something wrong with social media
Mhm.
because it was just right in front of your face. And then I noticed everybody started speaking their mind, like literally stuff that nobody needs to know. Like they would take pictures. I went and ate cheeseburgers, or they would just tell everything. I'm like, why are y'all telling everybody everything about your life?
Right. Right.
So yeah, they brainwash people with the social media
Mhm.
to be too open. I think because
Oh yeah.
then the women started talking about their partners and bodies. When did you realize when they said bodies, it wasn't actual murders?
Mhm.
You know, the body count.
Body count. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were talking about why y'all telling who you killed, right?
Right. It's like, I know that sometimes they word things strangely. I know I get sometimes I'm like that with things, and I'll realize later they meant something else. Kind of like with life insurance is really death insurance.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like insurance for people that are having someone dies and they'll give you the family insurance to pay for the debts, but they call it life insurance, but it's really death insurance.
Yeah, they really got us, didn't they? You pay a tax to be born, and you have a birth tax, and then you have a living tax, and then they're gonna get their final dollar out of you, and you die. Like even after you die, you have to pay a fee. It's crazy, and with inflation the way it is, and how much our debt is, I wonder how much it's gonna be like when we get there.
Oh, yeah. So I know in Germany, in the Weimar Republic, the inflation was terrible.
Inflation?
Like in Germany, it was bad in Germany.
Yeah, they're the way they do things over there is a little bit different than us.
Mhm.
A lot different. They don't even collect the race data.
Okay.
You know, this race ideology stuff, they got away from it after the Holocaust.
Okay.
Huh?
No, I see. I hear you. I hear you.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah, and basically, a lot of people, though, and also I think TikTok is a Chinese spy. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, TikTok is a spy app. Um, if you look at it, I got on there, like, I use the device I don't have connected to anything because I knew that it would, like, what they can do is they can go through your whole system and steal everything from your phone.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So yeah, it is a spy app, and I think a lot of stuff that is allowed on there is just to promote degenerate behavior, so they can collapse America even faster, because the talking points and all that came from TikTok, like the promotion of it. Then you think about this trans movement and all this. They have millions and millions of followers on there. If they want agenda to push to the youth, they go on that.
Oh yeah.
They allow maps. If you've heard of maps, and I'm not talking about maps like what we look at to travel. Maps are minor attracted persons. They can get on a live stream and talk to kids. They're allowed to.
Yeah,
So
that's
like, if
terrible.
you have kids, do not download that app.
Right.
I mean, that's what I was doing for the last year. Was I was finding every flaw in the system and the things we could talk about and the things that would ban me, because I got like 1,000 violations. Once I get to 1,000, it's time for me to go.
Oh
Right?
yes, I agree.
They would, they had a safe space on there. So I was like, all right, I need a safe space too. Straight people. I just tried to promote it. I was like, what do y'all think? I said, we need a straight safe space, right?
Right.
You know, they got me for hateful behavior, man.
Wow, that's just stupid.
I'm not allowed. They violate my safe space.
Right. Right.
So I know which community. It's not for hereditary. Like, if you're heterosexual and you're on that app, they're gonna like throttle you, shadow ban you, and it's just to collect data for the craziest people in America and across the globe. Because I noticed like that one where that guy he started dressing his boy up, right? He's in the UK, So the woke stuff is like in more in legislation in the UK than it is here. But that's what they're trying to do. Like when I was looking at the sexual revolution,
Mhm.
they the mini skirts. It started off subtle.
Mhm.
It started off with the mini skirts. That was in London, and then they just went from there.
Right. Yeah.
So with the TikTok, I think that it gives them too much access. Like they want your location and everything.
Oh yeah. I never got it. I'm not interested in it. I remember, like,
Yeah, don't waste
yeah,
your time, man.
yeah. Like I don't.
Don't waste your time.
I don't. I hardly ever use social media. I mean, I think just recently I put up a picture on Instagram, but I don't really use. I don't go on social media. I mean, I go on YouTube and see y'all, like when Trey stream the different people and whatnot. But I mean, I just, yeah, YouTube's the only thing that I do, and I keep in touch with friends and family through Facebook.
Well, I started, what was it? 2010 was the first time I like downloaded Facebook,
Mhm.
right? And I had never been on social media before that. And I think it was a couple years. I wouldn't even give much time to it.
Mhm.
And then I started noticing our society shifting, right?
Mhm.
And that's when I started paying attention. Then I noticed the fact checkers came in.
Uh huh.
Just out of nowhere, we had fact checkers.
Mhm.
That was Facebook, and that was to control speech. And then I came on YouTube about 2017. I really didn't talk to
Mhm.
people
Right.
until 2 years ago. I think, yeah, it was 2020 is when I actually started, like the end of 2020.
Mhm.
But it takes a lot of data on your phone, say because it's always updating, man. You got to be careful with Instagram too. So just make sure you read the fine print.
Oh yeah. Thank you for your thoughts, and I totally agree with that. I want to. Do you? I've been researching things about the farms. I talk to a lot of farmers on my channel, and through my ads, I was able to talk to different people with the farmers. Do you think? I think China's buying out farmland to control the food in America. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, they've been doing it under the guise of they got these micro business.
Mhm.
If you ever looked into the micro businesses in China, they have ghost businesses.
Okay.
Nobody actually they don't actually do anything. But they come here because we have I think there's an agreement through our universities.
Mhm.
So what they're doing is they come over here, go to our schools, learn everything over here, and then they apply for citizenship, right?
Mhm.
And then they're a plant basically. But they've been buying up land in Georgia,
Mhm.
all over. There was a chick. The only thing that I found could, with the TikTok,
Mhm.
there's some patriots in there.
All
And
right.
there's this one chick. They got rid of her whole account, because she was going around the United States finding out where the land was. And it's scary because it's by every air base
Mhm.
in the United States. That's where they've been buying land, putting factories in the middle of nowhere. Like in the middle of nowhere,
Mhm.
they don't normally do that. So I think it's one of these states was didn't want this factory. They weren't sure why. It was right by the airbase.
Mhm.
So yeah, they're buying up our land, and they're not even supposed to be able to. But I think Obama made it where they could own land here, and that goes against our Constitution.
Of course. Of course.
No foreign enemy or whatever. Anybody that's not from here, that's not a citizen, they're not supposed to own any kind of land here. Americans can't own any land anywhere. We
Right.
got bases everywhere, military bases, but the way they're buying up our land is insane.
I agree. You know, one of my subscribers is a farmer in Georgia, and she was telling me that they're trying to get them to buy her farmland, and they were trying to buy out people in the area. And yeah, she told me it's going on, and that's what I've been bringing awareness to it, because and then she told me that they're sending the meat to China.
Yeah.
Right. And
They're trying to get us to eat bugs.
right.
You know that's what they're trying to teach in school now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I was
Once they're like 12 or 13, there was this guy,
Mhm.
they got a whole program now. You'll notice it in the media, okay? They're starting to talk about eating grasshoppers. I am not eating no bugs. I'll eat a squirrel before
Right.
I eat a bug. Okay. But you said that they came to buy her land.
Right.
The weird thing is my dad keeps getting calls from these foreigners.
Mm.
And we told them we're not selling our land. We're not selling our land. We're not selling our land. And they're always calling back. I was like, how the hell did you get my number? Right? They hang up. Right? So what I'm thinking is they're doing you know how you have them dry calls. It's like cold calls. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to buy all the rural area land.
Yeah,
But
that makes sense to me.
that's how they're doing it, because they want to push all the Americans into the city. They want to get everybody out the rural areas.
Right.
And then they're going to control the rural areas, because in the rural areas you can grow your own food.
Right.
Most people in the city don't grow their own food.
True. It's very true.
And
Yeah.
they're trying to control what we can grow, what we can have. They haven't yet in Georgia. It's in certain areas they do. Like you can't have farm animals in the city, but you can where I'm at. Right?
Right.
But then they're trying to like regulate on that. And with these new aerial things they can do, like they got the drones, they don't even have to come out and service your land anymore. They just send out this little thing. I see them at night. So I'll
Okay.
be telling people, look in the sky.
Oh, wow.
Is it in the sky?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that definitely confirms what I've been hearing, and that's something new about the drones. I didn't know about that. And so, yeah, basically with the bugs, I was at a summer camp and we went to an insectarium, and the people you could they're selling the bugs as candy to eat. And I'm like, I don't want that. I'm good. And my friends are eating. I'm like, I'm good. I don't want that.
Yeah, it's the agenda. You'll own nothing and be happy. That's what
Right.
it's about.
Right. And yeah, like where I am, it's like in the outskirts of the city of New Orleans, and you could have like little like I grow my own food, and you could have some animals and stuff.
Yeah, we at one time America didn't have all these regulations.
Oh, right, right.
Like during the Depression, okay, I think when FDR became president, I was looking at executive orders, right? And a lot of people don't realize that the president can do executive orders. He can do, there's three things he can do. He could put in 80, Biden put in 391 executive orders. And then you got the other ones, like you got the notices. And I can't think right now about the other one, but there's these like decorations basically. And he's been doing so many in a little bit of time. That's why everything's affected. Like
exactly.
Once you put these things in, it puts in policies. But he's not allowed to make any laws. But when he was doing mandates, mandates is the same as a law.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he was going around the system doing executive. He's a tyrant for real. Like he's been destroying our system at a level I've never seen before.
Right. I know in the Soviet Union, they had the collectivist famines that happened, and they starved everybody.
Well, in 2021, they were telling all the farmers. That's another thing I found out, because TikTok will let you share stuff
Mhm.
that YouTube won't, and I think it's a mass collection of data, because they were allowing the farmers to show where the government was coming in and forcing them. They didn't have a choice because they got money from the government. You get the farmers stuff that you get from the government, and they were having people burn off the food, destroy crops. I was like, man, this is like the depression all over again. It's a process. So we're getting close to that again.
Oh yeah.
People are sleeping the weirdo.
Right. That basically, it's like history, is repeating itself, and it keeps, going on. And
They're making it happen, though.
Hmm?
They're making it happen. It's
All right.
okay.
Right. I agree.
FDR put in the New Deal. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, you could elaborate on that.
Okay, the New Deal was like when they redistribute wealth. It
Yes.
was a way to get the American people adjusted to the welfare system.
Mm-hmm.
So they took control of the unions and everything at that time. They said that they were going to produce jobs, invest in jobs, and get people working again. But then it adjusted the American people to the Social Security system and all that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have Social Security at one time. It was supposed to be like a trust fund, but it's not,
Right.
because they took all the money. The New Deal is the same thing as the Green New Deal. It's so if you line up history, that's why I've been going over like the Depression time and lining it up, the banks, all of that. And what kind of blew my mind is the government, when they say that it's not going to cost the taxpayers money and the government's bailing them out, they're lying, because who funds the government?
Right. The taxpayers.
Yeah, so taxes are going to go up. Cost is about to go out the roof. Just brace for it. I mean, I don't like to fearmonger. So I try to look at a situation and figure out what can we do and how can we brace for it.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're already growing stuff, you should be good.
Yes. I have a bunch of turnips, and I have corn coming up, and I have many different plants that are coming up, and other ones too. I like add peppers and stuff, and also I'm gonna get myself some chickens.
Yeah, chickens are not. It just make sure you stay away from the big label bags, because Purina is what was causing the chickens not to produce. Because I use organic stuff, right? And everybody was having problems with their chickens, and my chickens were fine. I stay away from the probiotic stuff and all that, because I don't trust what they're putting in it. So I got completely organic chickens.
Well, that's good. That's good.
The eggs taste different too. You can taste the difference. Once you start getting your chickens, you'll notice. But the good thing about the chickens is you can use their droppings. You can make a fertilizer.
Oh yeah.
Because what you need in the ground, they produce.
Oh yeah. I know about the fertilizer. My friend, she was telling me, the one in Georgia. She was telling me about the fertilizer, and I got some from Amazon, and it does work. And I know I'll get my own chickens and use the fertilizer from the chickens, but I tried it.
Yeah,
And
it's
it does the trick.
cheaper. Yeah, they poop all the time, so
Yes.
you just get a bucket, mix it. You can mix it with all kind of stuff. Yeah. If you want to make more chickens, you have to have a rooster.
Right. And
So
yes.
I think it's a rooster for every 5 hens, and he's a happy man.
Right.
The rooster's into polygamy, okay?
Right. Right.
So yeah, get you some chickens. You can even get like rabbits. if you can find them. I mean, they're hard to find.
Right.
And this is Easter time. Then you'll see them pop up. Everybody wants rabbits. That's the best time to buy rabbits is during Easter.
Well, I'll make sure I'll stay up on Easter to catch the Easter bunny.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you want to find rabbits, wait till Easter because that's when they sell the majority of the bunnies. Because kids are like, oh, I want a bunny. And then you get them a pet, and then they're like, it poops too much. Then they find out the chocolate balls ain't chocolate. Okay.
Okay. Right.
I realized my kids weren't like they weren't gonna be like they were gonna be critical thinkers because my son's like they told me that like the teacher had the chocolate eggs and we had bunnies at the house.
Mm.
He's like Easter bunny. He said, "Don't you eat that chocolate? That's not chocolate."
Right.
You tell a kid that's on the farm or been on the farm to eat the chocolate balls, they're not going to eat it, especially if it comes from a rabbit. They know what it is.
Right. Also, what color is your rooster?
I got a white one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man, I got kicked off TikTok for talking about my rooster. I said, hey, I got a big white cock in my front yard. Y'all want to see it?
Oh.
And they didn't like my farm sense of humor. So I found it funny. Like, the stuff that I've been banned for is, like, so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm an SOB, but I'm the strikeout bandit.
Right.
But I am finding like where the lines are.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you ever want to do like if you look at the old stuff, like the really old stuff and you want to review it,
Mm-hmm.
just put it on your screen for educational purposes, fair use.
Yes.
And that'll keep it from being pinged. Okay, I've been testing to see what works. Because the fair use, I was using fair use, like as a marker, and I was still getting like hit. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So I started looking at other content, like how did they stream for so long, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not be cut off. And then I noticed it. If we do it under educational purposes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we can review anything as long as we want.
Okay. All right.
So that's the little thing that I figured out about that. And I also found out with you know how people would get the medical misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
I got hit with that, but it was old material. So now,
Right.
like I appealed it, and I said this is historical documentation. So as long as you put historical documentation and it's like over a week old, they can't get you for medical misinformation if you say, well, this is historical data because it's not new, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They can't get you for medical misinformation, especially if you're using it from the places that they declare telling the truth. Because they try to hit me on what I was was pointing out what the data was in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get hit with medical misinformation, you're reviewing some of the stuff that's on, the medical stuff about COVID, and it's stuff that comes from their website. Just keep write down the website because that's what I did,
Mm-hmm.
and I sent it in with my appeal, and that was the quickest appeal I ever won. Like within an hour, they put my content back up.
Oh, wow.
And ever since I pointed out it was historical data, they ain't been messing with hitting me with no medical misinformation anymore.
Oh, that's good. You know,
So
yeah.
just remember that.
Well,
Like
I'll keep that in mind.
the way it's all in how we word it.
Oh, I know. I know from YouTube, like law school things on YouTube I looked at. It's all about the wordings. There was a case in Virginia where this couple, it was like they're making a joke that they're going to sell their property, and they wrote it on a piece of paper on a napkin and sold it to them. They took it seriously, but they didn't make it clear they weren't joking. So it's like they didn't really win it. and it's like I understood the concept of how you word things from those like YouTube videos.
Yeah, especially when they like violate you, man. All it is if you looked at Maoist tactics,
Mm-hmm.
they use public shaming,
I know.
and that's what they do to us when we're talking and we say something. That's why it got really weird. I had to stop doing it because I was like, man, I'm changing myself for this app. It's like,
Right.
don't say that. Don't say that. I'm like, well, I could say that, but I'm not. Then I just said, screw it, man. I'm gonna say whatever. And I haven't got like as many violations I was getting just by trying to work around the wording. Oh my god! But when I
Right.
just let loose and just said, I'm gonna say everything. I'm gonna say all the words. I'm tired of this. I haven't had any violations on that. It's amazing when you just go free. What is it? Hood says just go free.
Yeah. Fly from the nest. Right.
Well, no, he's like the white people. I just need to go free. Go free.
I think of it like a bird flying free from the nest.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I've found is when
Hello. Hello. Are you there, Alice? Maybe her signal's bad or something. Okay, her phone died. All right, so her phone died. That was an amazing call, amazing conversation. All right. Well, yeah, it's about time soon. I'm going to. We had a very good night, a very good talk tonight, and calls are shutting down. Calls are shutting down. Actually, right here. Yeah. So we had a very good night. A very good conversations with people, and I'm thankful for everyone that came. God bless you all. I am about to end the stream soon, so just going to give you all a heads up. And I will be going live again soon. Yeah, thank you all, for coming around. I will go live again soon. I haven't had a schedule yet, but I'll come out with a video to, clarify, to the schedule and all. And also, alright, now going back to the dashboard, over here. That was a good call, Alice. That was a very good call, and also Latina, that was nice for you to call in earlier. And there'll be more content in the future, and I'm glad that the connection worked. I'm very blessed that it went well. And also, alright, well, alright, I'll be ending it. Alright.